Warmest greetings to my viewers. Today in the new video I would like to talk about the dismantling of the rule of law and the legal system that guarantees the democratic form of government in Hungary. The ancient Greeks, the Athenians who created democracy, and the Romans, who basically lived under a republic for almost 2 centuries, said that either the people control the elected officials or the elected officials control the government. When the elected officials control the government and the individuals, then there is no democracy. Democracy can exist only under conditions where the people, the voters who elected the officials, control the government and those whom they elected. The comparison to the situation in Hungary is basically striking. In 2010, Fidesz, which is an acronym for the Young Democrats in Hungary, won the elections. The votes cast, about 63% of the population participated in the first round. The second round will a decrease of participation, but Fidesz got 52% of the votes cast, which means basically that they had the votes of about a third of the population, the voting population in Hungary. Because of the shenanigans of the electoral law in Hungary, Fidesz, with that kind of votes, received a 2/3 majority in the unicameral parliament of Hungary. Hungary has only one chamber. There is no upper house. There is only one house which right now comprises of 199 representatives. With that 2/3 majority in the parliament, but only 1/3 approval by the voters, Fidesz immediately promulgated a new constitution in 2011. That constitution was rapidly amended several times in 2013 and even later, in which Fidesz, the ruling party, the Young Democrats, started to dismantle systematically and intentionally the democratic form of government. As we all know, since Montesquieu, we have 3 branches of the government, and every constitution, every democratic constitution adheres to the checks and balances principle, according to which the legislative branch can control certain things, the executive branch controls certain things, and the judiciary controls something else. So basically those are 3 independent branches of the government, and their interplay gives us the checks and balances which provides that none of the branches will become so powerful as to oppress the 2 other branches. In Hungary, the new constitution was promulgated in 1989. Before that, Hungary had what we call the Stalinist constitution of 1949, number 20. And the 1989 constitution set up a judiciary that mirrored the German constitution. Hungary had a separate constitutional court and a separate Supreme Court, which the Hungarians, for historic reasons, called the Curia. And the Supreme Court deals with the normal criminal, civil, and administrative law issues that come before it. The Constitutional Court had only one major responsibility: to examine whether the laws passed by Parliament comply with the requirements of the Constitution or not. The Fidesz Constitution in 2011 abolished practically the Constitutional Court's responsibility with respect to materially examine the laws passed by the Parliament. And basically what happened, the Constitutional Court was restricted to examining procedural violations of the Constitution. So basically what the Fidesz-controlled Parliament passed as laws, the Constitutional Court could not analyze. So that was number one. In addition, they set up two new organs. The one is the National Judiciary Council, and the second, the National Judiciary Office. The National Judiciary Council basically has been responsible to examine the qualifications of judges and basically appoint the judges. The office, the National Judiciary Office, was originally designed to administer the council. What actually happened, the National Judiciary Office totally took over the supervision of the National Judiciary Council, which meant that without the approval of the head of the office, which obviously belonged to the Fidesz, no judge was appointed to any judgeship in Hungary. In addition, in a separate legislation, a separate law, Fidesz mandated, the parliament mandated that judges who reach the age of 62 must mandatorily, compulsorily retire. This way they obviously wanted to remove very quickly all those judges who were appointed before 2010 or 2011, and then appoint judges that basically towed the political line of Fidesz. In addition, the Chief Prosecutor's Office, which is independent of the Ministry of Justice and the Minister of Justice, the Chief Prosecutor's Office went to a political hack, practically, whose qualifications were totally insufficient to be the Chief Prosecutor of Hungary, who did nothing but followed the orders of Fidesz and particularly the Prime Minister, Mr. Orbán. The second big area was the media. The government took total control of the media. They purchased everything. They basically eliminated every media outlet, written and electronic, that did not toe the official line of the government by basically withdrawing the advertising. So basically, the government forced companies, both Hungarian and foreign, to advertise exclusively with media outlets that belonged either directly to the government or to individuals that basically served as strowmans for Hungary. The Constitution still talks about the free media, talks about the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression, and all those things which unfortunately do not exist. In addition, just aside, that the right to strike was also, for all practical purposes, eliminated by the Fidesz-controlled parliament. Thirdly, the economy. Fidesz ruthlessly took over the economy, either by intimidation. There were instances that Hungarian businessmen fled to other European countries, and they said that they got an offer that they couldn't refuse. We know that from The Godfather exactly what it means. And in addition, all the European Union monies, all the foreign investments, and all the money that the government had at its disposal went to companies that were already controlled by not just Fidesz, but the Prime Minister, his son-in-law, and his very close friends. I just would like to mention two individuals, Lőrinc Mészáros, who is a childhood friend of the Prime Minister, and the son-in-law, István Tiborcs, who is married to Mr. Orbán's, the Prime Minister's oldest daughter, Rachel. So again, the Constitution provides for free enterprise and freedom of the economy, but practically that doesn't exist. So Hungary, and that's the consensus now both in Brussels, within the European Union, and also in the United States, in Washington, is not a democratic country. It is not a democracy. The Prime Minister Viktor Orbán himself claims that Hungary is under an illiberal democracy. Clearly, democracy either is a democracy, but it cannot be illiberal, because if it is illiberal, it is not a democracy. So again, I personally and the Institute, the Frontiers of Freedom Institute, initiated anti-corruption process against Mr. Orbán personally, his members of his family, and his closest associates under the Global Magnitsky Act. Our petition or motion is with the State Department and also with the Department of Justice. Let's see what will happen with that. But clearly, Hungary is in the wrong goes in the wrong direction, and with Mr. Orbán at the helm of the government and the two-thirds majority of his party in the parliament, things will not change for the better. They will change only to the worse. And that is not in the interest of the European Union, and certainly is not in the interest of the United States of America. Clearly, the Hungarian voters will have to decide whether they would like to retain Mr. Orbán's services after 2022, when the next national elections will take place, or they will organize a credible and effective opposition that will unseat Mr. Orbán. For everybody, for the European Union and the United States, the latter would be the ideal solution. And I personally hope that that will happen. Thank you for listening and watching. You can watch this one and the previous videos at realnewstalk.com, and I hope you will do it, and I hope that you will be with us next week too with the next video. I also would like to call attention to the fact that soon I'm publishing a new book entitled Crazy World, which will contain articles, commentaries, editorials of mine concerning the situation across the globe. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you again next week. Goodbye.